Hey everybody, Matt and Randy here in the Eastwood Garage with another live video. We're switching it up a little bit on you. If you guys always watch, wondering where we were at 3, well, we're starting to do a lot of projects here in the Eastwood Garage. Today, Matt's shaving a door handle. So we're shooting a video showing you guys how to shave a door handle on a car, which is really popular in auto restoration, especially if you're, especially street ride guys and even the mini truck guys. So let us know if you like this style of video. It's sort of just a behind the scenes look. We're going to cut in. We're producing this entire video on how to shave a door handle. So if you subscribe to us on YouTube, in about 2 weeks, you're going to get the full how-to video. But we're going to be cutting in a couple times in the next couple weeks as Matt's working on it, you know, just to give you some tips, show you what he's doing and some of the tools he's using. And as always, if you have any questions, Scotty C is in the house. We didn't forget about him. That's one thing we knew we had to keep for the fans, with Scotty C there answering questions.
Yep,
How's it going, Scott?
Not too bad. So I'll be in Facebook and YouTube, you know, being able to answer your questions while Matt walks through. Feel free to shoot them over here. I can also, you know, give them to Matt and make sure you guys know what you're doing.
Who knows what they're doing?
How to shave a door handle.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to Matt.
Yeah, showing him how.
So Matt, I know you're hammer welding.
Yeah, so what we did up until this point is we cut out the lip where the original door handle set in, because you don't want to lay just a piece over top of the lip, because then it's double thick metal and you can't hammer it to adjust it if it shrinks when you're welding. So we cut that out, we made a pattern, we used the English wheel over here with the rubber band.
The gauge.
Yes.
As well too. We should grab that.
Yeah, so we used this gauge here, and we'll show you, because we wanted to make sure that the panel matched the contour of the door when we started. So what we did is, I'll put this flat here. So what we did is we put this on the door just by where we're going to be repairing it, or shaving it in this instance. And you push down on this, and it has these little pins that give you the contour of the door. So then when we put it in the English wheel and we rolled it, we rolled it with the rubber band in it, and we got it formed to the shape that we wanted so that it matched this contour. And then once we got it pretty close, I traced a pattern, filed it to fit, got it pretty darn close to where it needed to be. And now we're doing some tack welding in. This is kind of a long, tedious part where you got to tack around, make sure everything fits tight, and adjust it as you go. So in here, as I'm tacking this is 20 gauge, so this is a little thinner than some of the stuff you guys are doing with you know, with older stuff that's 19 or 18 gauge. So the 20 gauge really takes some finesse. You don't have to hit it very hard to get the metal to move, and you got to have your amperage on your welder really well. So we're using the TIG 200 digital. This is my favorite machine for welding sheet metal, well, especially with TIG welding, obviously, because you can turn this machine all the way down. I have this machine set at a peak of 38 amps, so we're welding really low here. And then I have it set on the pulse so that it's dropping to about 55% of 38 amps and pulsing back and forth.
And when it's on pulse, you're not using the foot pedal for this, right?
Yeah, I used to be a foot pedal fanatic, but once I got this machine and started using it, it has the 4T setting. So what this is, I can push the switch, turn on the initial arc, and kind of I call it my flashlight. I get myself set with the low amperage where I want to be, and then when I let off the trigger, it starts pulsing that amperage that we want it to be at. And since I already kind of am set, I can just put the filler in and get out. You know, with the sheet metal, you want to be in and out as quick as possible, so we're not putting excessive heat in.
That pulse feature sort of imitates what you used to do with the foot pedal, right?
Yeah.
Like when you would, and you'd let off to decrease amperage or increase it, you basically now know what it is. So you set it, and it just does it for you.
Yeah.
And it does it exact because it's a machine.
Yeah, it's nice for doing, you know, I like setting the pulse for one pulse per second is what I like. So it's a nice even pulse. It's not too fast. I can get the filler rod in there, and of course you can turn it up depending on the style of the welding you like to do. So I'm going to put a couple more tacks around this edge here and hammer it in. And then if you guys have any questions about the process or anything we're talked about so far, shoot it to Scotty.
Scotty C's over there. And again, Scott, we want to hear from the people if they like this format.
Yep, so I do. I just put it in there for you guys to be able to, give us some feedback, see how you like it, kind of jumping in mid-project, and so you can kind of see a little behind-the-scenes action, kind of what we do here while we're working on a project.
Yes, yeah. So like Scott said, if you like it, make sure you let us know, and and we'll try to keep bringing you more projects. But you got to subscribe, you got to follow us on Facebook, because they might be random times. Like today, end up being 3:30. That was about the time it worked out. But tomorrow, hey, make sure you remind everybody, Scott, tomorrow at 3 o'clock is the Beginner's Guide of MIG Welding.
Yep,
and tomorrow it will be at 3 o'clock. The Beginner's Guide of MIG Welding. You got to tune in for that. Bob from our store, he teaches all the classes here. He's great. So he's going to go from putting the spool into the machine all the way to running a perfect bead. So make sure you do tune in tomorrow at 3 o'clock. That one we are sticking to a schedule. But we'll go back to Matt and some of his TIG welding and hammer welding.
So what you can see here
hammer
is,
forming.
What you can see, I don't know if maybe if you come around to this side, you can see along the edge here how the panel's diving in where I've tack welded. Because it is 20 gauge, it doesn't take much heat and it starts moving the metal around. So what I'm doing on this panel that I don't always do on 18 gauge is in between a handful of tacks, I'm actually hammering them flat. So in here, this piece here, I don't know if you can see in there, we've got a little bit of belly in the panel. So one tip is you don't want to go and weld this whole thing without adjusting it before you start welding. It's good, especially when you're working with 20 gauge, to kind of adjust the panel as you go. So just those little tacks I'm doing are already starting to shrink this weld seam and cause it to get a belly in there. So we don't want that. So what I'm going to do now, after I've done that, is I'm going to adjust it with the hammer. So I'm going to push up on my dolly, and I'm going to tap lightly on the welds to both stretch them out and also even the metal out. So I'm reversing the shrink that's happening when I put these tacks in. Now we can.
Now when you're doing that, where are you pushing up? Right below it, off to the side?
Right up on it. So I'm pushing up right on the center of each of those welds as I hammer. And you don't want to go too far to overstretch the metal. So what I'm doing now, you can use a straight edge. I'm just using a piece of metal here. But I can check. And now, I don't know, Dave, if you want to get in. Now you can see just
pretty much dead.
Yeah, and you guys saw I wasn't hitting hard. That's another mistake that I see a lot of guys, and I made when I first started. You have a hammer, you think you got to swing it hard. You don't have to do much. If you're pushing up on that dolly and you're hitting it square on it, it's ringing, that means you're stretching the metal a little bit. And with it being 20 gauge, it doesn't take much. So just that little bit of hitting there stretched it back out, and we have almost no warpage. So I'm going to do that around the whole panel as I get it tacked, and it's going to be basically like this, where there's tacks every say 3/4 of an inch or an inch. We're going to have tacks, and then I'll go around and
with TIG welding, you're not going to have much grinding to do either.
Yeah.
You can see how low that is.
Yeah, and that's the other
opposed to
reason.
a MIG.
The other reason too that's nice is you can hammer the weld, and because it's softer than a MIG weld, it actually crushes the weld down. So you're doing two things: you're reversing the warpage, and you're making your weld more flat, so you're not grinding it off as much. So.
And if anybody was wondering what these were, I guess they were still on there when we started. These are stitch weld magnets.
Oh yeah, good.
And he had the patch held in with about 6 of them, like that. Those things are amazing. They're so strong at times they're almost a pain.
Yeah, I get a little annoyed sometimes because they're so strong. They catch on stuff, but they're great for holding the panel in like this.
Yeah.
I always use these when I'm setting the panel in place, and even in the beginning, you guys will see in the video when we get the finished video, I use it for a handle. So because my panel is a perfect fit inside of it, it would just fall through if I was trying to hold it. So you can use your magnet to drop it down in, test fit it, which is really nice. So that will, those are handy. There's a bunch of different uses for them. But once I start getting it tacked, then we can take them off and just start adjusting with the hammer since it holds itself now.
Well, before we get back to welding, we're checking with Scott, see if he has any questions on this little project.
Sure. Somebody had asked, if you actually cut out the old door handle or if you just unbolted it to be able to drop in the new patch piece.
So we unbolted the door handle, but what there was a lip. It was actually recessed, and there was a lip below the surface where the door handle actually set in, so that it was flush. It was like a flush pull handle. So we needed to cut that lip off. So the door handle unbolted, you take the actual plastic handle or metal handle out, but then there's a recess where the handle actually seated in. So we needed to cut that recess off because I want to actually hammer weld this and finish it pretty nice. And if we're doubling up the metal, I'm never going to be able to get that shrinkage to come out because you're trying to hammer on two different thicknesses of metal. So you want it to be a nice file fit when you're putting your patch in. So that's a really good question.
And all that's going to be in the video. So
Yeah.
if you're just joining us, we're trying a new concept where we're doing a lot of projects here in the garage, and we wanted to be able to show them to you more. So we're producing a video that's going to be on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe. That's how to shave a door handle, which is really popular with our audience. So while Matt's doing it, we decided to just cut in live, show it to you. So we're going to start coming live probably at some more random times. So let us know what you think about this concept, more of a behind the scenes. You're going to get to see a lot more projects. But tomorrow at 3 is our beginner's guide to MIG welding. So before we get back to Matt and some TIG welding, is there any more questions, Scott?
We're good on questions right now, but as always, if you guys have requests too, because we've already had one request of things you'd like to see in future upcoming videos, make sure you get them in there in the comments. We certainly review them and see if we can get them on there for you.
What are they asking for? What do they want to see?
Oh, they actually want to see some fiberglass repair videos.
Oh, that's a good
So
one.
that would be a good one, yeah.
We just got to find a vehicle that's fiberglass.
We actually have a fiberglass hood over there. I shouldn't have told you that, huh? We do have a fiberglass hood.
That one's in good condition still.
I think it's a Mustang hood. I didn't know Mustang, like a, whatever, early
aftermarket?
2000s.
might
If
be
anybody
aftermarket.
knows, were they fiberglass hoods or is that some aftermarket thing? But we actually do have a fiberglass hood. It looks like a recent, a late model Mustang.
So we got a prop.
So,
Cool.
all right, well, we'll get back to welding and then eventually we'll get out of here.